we rolling? We're good?
Yeah, that's all making it, too.
All right, welcome back to the BotchPod. The BotchPod. The BotchPod. The BotchPod. The worst podcast in the world. Welcome back to the BotchPod, the worst podcast in the world. Today, we have Skeese.
Salute, man. What's going on? How you feeling?
Good. How about you, man?
I'm good, man. Tired.
You've been busy.
Moving around.
You've been very, very busy.
Yeah, man. It's a good thing, though. It's a good thing.
Yeah. It's insane, dude. I mean, March, you had Pain Provided Profit, and then Abolished Uncertainties, and that whole month, you're just hitting every podcast in America.
Yeah, man. It gotta just be like that was my thing, man. I just wanted to be as visible as possible. You know what I'm saying? Like wherever there's a camera at, I just wanted to make sure I was in front of it.
It's a good mindset.
Yeah, for sure.
Good mindset. I love it. So when does it end? I mean, you're going on tour soon with Conway and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me, Conway, Sauce Walker, will be going on the Won't He Do It tour. Starts May 26th. You said, when does it stop?
Yeah, all this running around shit.
Man, I mean, we outside, so it's like, you know, I don't want to stop. You know what I'm saying? Now that I got a little bit of like, you know, some eyes on me and things like that, man, I just want to continue to keep teeing up, man, and you know what I mean? Just keep this run going.
For sure. For sure. So, how it's unusual, right, for a rapper to drop like 2 albums in the same month. What was that process like? Like how was that decision made?
So I mean, we knew that we had Pain Provided Profit. We made that last year, like around this time last year. And you know, we kind of played around with the idea of dropping it a couple times last year. But when we did drop it, it just kind of was almost like it started my rollout, you know what I mean, for my debut for Abolished Uncertainties, you know what I mean? Because it was a project that like we kind of came together with, you know, we made it fairly quick, and we knew that it was gonna introduce a lot of people to my sound that may have not heard me already, you know, because it's one thing to be on Conway's projects, you know, might have a guest feature here or do a hook there, but to have a whole project with Conway and have it come out on Empire, you know, be distributed by Empire, that's a whole different ballgame. So we knew that we were gonna kind of use that as like to kind of start my rollout, and then from there do the actual like rollout with my album. But it was like a fairly quick thing, you know what I mean? Like we kind of came together and said, yo, like, you know, they asked me, I should say my man Chad, yo, are you comfortable with the idea of that? And I'm like, yo, let's do it, because, you know, I've been waiting for almost 2 years to, you know, put out my album, and I felt like it was time, you know what I mean, with all the other projects that I had put out and just the buzz that I got from that. And then I knew I had, you know, some other things lined up, so I knew, you know, I felt pretty good about it.
Did you have to cram anything like last second to get that out?
Yeah, for my album, definitely. So Ekin 3 on there, where I'm talking about all the kicks.
Yeah.
What ended up happening was I got a text from Chad. It was on, I want to say Tuesday or Wednesday before that Friday when it came out. And he told me that the sample on it wasn't getting cleared. So we ended up having to have the homie E. Jones. He had to replay the sample. And then Mitch Arizona, he came in and added some things, some drums, and some type of warping effect he put on there, man. And it made it just super dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, the original instrumental sounded really good. But when you listen to the one that is actually on the album, it's a little different. And, you know, I actually prefer the one that's on the album. So salute to E. Jones and Mitch Arizona for putting that together, man.
That was a crazy song, dude. Like,
yeah.
You really know your sneakers.
Man, I had been working in kicks for more than 10 years, you know what I mean? And then, you know, I had the original Ekin on Revolver Ocelot,
yep.
And then, you know, Ekin 2 actually landed on a bunch of playlists on, like, Spotify, so it started picking up. And, you know, I had some people on Twitter saying, like, yo, I'm the new sneaker king, sneaker bar king, and all that, so I just wanted to keep it going, you know what I mean? I feel like Ekin 3 is, like, the best out of the series, you know what I mean?
Is that a common thing to deal with? Like you said, the sample wasn't getting cleared. Is that like common, or?
I think now it is, you know, because a lot of people see, or a lot of, I should say, record labels, whoever owns the music, they see how much, you know, certain songs can make. You know, when hip hop artists sample, or just artists period, you know what I mean, when they sample certain records and they see the success of those records, so they say, shoot, you know, we're not just gonna clear it for nothing, you know what I mean, we got to get paid. So it is a pretty common thing, but luckily, you know, there are people like E. Jones out there, and there's a lot of other real talented artists who can kind of play back, you know, those records and, you know, make that magic happen.
So, this, from what I gathered, what you said about the sample, basically you just kind of reworked it, tweaked it a little bit.
Yeah. So, what E. Jones did was he heard what was already played, and then he basically replayed it himself.
Okay.
So it's like you take the sample, you just go back in, whether it's keys or a saxophone or, you know, whatever it is, you replay it. So that way, you know, that person that you pay to replay it, that person is credited for playing the actual sample.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, does it have to be changed at all? Like, would he have to change a slight bit about it? Just okay.
I think what it is, you know, you might have to play it in a different octave. I don't really know that much about it, but I know that when you listen to the original one and the one that is actually played, it's like a slight difference, but it's not too noticeable. Like you would never know, obviously, if you didn't hear the original joint. But it's just like a hair noticeable.
And you ended up liking it. Honestly,
yeah, I loved it,
well,
man. Like
then.
At first, you know, I wasn't really in love with it, but you know, after hearing it, you know, when Mitch he came in and he did some different things to it, I was like, yo, nah, this is it. You know what I'm saying?
Cool.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
interesting how all that stuff works.
Going back to the sneakers for a second, what's your favorite sneaker?
Favorite sneakers, Aqua 8.
Aqua 8.
Yeah, Aqua 8s.
You're an 8 guy.
Yeah, man.
I never really liked 8s. I'm rocking some basic shit
I
right
see,
now.
No, those is fire though. Actually, I got those at the crib. Those Chrome 6s.
I like them because they match. They match everything. You know?
They match
Those
with
can
everything.
match
We
with
were just talking about
anything.
those the other day when we was out of town. But that's a good shoe, man. Like I remember that shoe came out low top first, and that was in like I want to say like 02. And then they redropped them, I want to say like 2015. And I didn't get them either time. And then I just got those. They were actually a Christmas gift last year. I love that shoe.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're not bad.
They go good with the Buffalo AF hat too, man. You know what I'm saying?
I'm a big 3 guy.
Big threes?
I like 3s.
I just had on the cements the other day, the Reimagined joints. It's a good pair.
Yeah. How many pairs do you have?
I don't know. I'm probably around like, I usually keep around like 30, 35 pairs. You know what I mean? Because I keep a rotation, especially now. Because like when I wear something, especially if it's something that's real dope, I usually get like 1 or 2 wears out of it, and then that's it. Like I might go to my cousin Vintage, or I might go to the seller. Yo, I got these. Give me $250, and then I'll grab something else for like $600 or $500. You know what I mean? Just put the cash with it and just grab something else. You know what I mean? Because I'm in a cycle of always, you know, needing to grab something different. You know what I mean? Whether I'm going and doing a podcast or a video or just have different things going on. So that's how I play it.
That's dope.
It's a smart tactic, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to be caught wearing the same thing every time. You know?
Yeah, right. And then like, you know, I would love to just say, okay, I'm gonna just keep all these different kicks. You know what I'm saying? But right now, it's just not the reality. You know what I'm saying? Eventually I'll be there. But you know, it's just so often I need new stuff. You know what I mean? It's just like I'm so grateful for those places because they just allow me to just go in there, do what I do, grab something else, and you know what I'm saying, just keep it moving.
Cool.
That's how I met Adam. Actually, I used to resell sneakers all the time.
That's what it is.
But I feel like the sneaker industry has changed so much.
Yes,
like, it's not the same.
I feel like a lot of people around like 2013, 2014, a lot of people kind of got into, you know, reselling kicks that weren't even really into sneakers just because they saw like the money aspect behind it. And me, I never was like a reseller. I always just loved sneakers. You know what I'm saying? If I had a pair that I liked and I rocked, and you know I might be able to sell them, then I would do that. But as far as like going and copping and then just reselling and flipping them, I never was into that. But and then I feel like, you know, with, you know, the pandemic happening, and then with, you know, people not having as much money after the pandemic, I feel like all those sneaker sales kind of slowed down. So that's what you see now. It's a lot of stuff kind of sitting, and you know what I mean? It's not as lucrative as it was in the past. You know what I'm saying? Certain ones is, but not everything.
The prices have dropped so much too, like on Yeezys and like shit like that. There's not as much resale value.
It was like once he left Adidas, towards the end of last year, Conway, or Ye, I should say, I feel like all the hype, whatever hype was left, you know, around the Yeezys, it just kind of died off. I think it'll pick back up though, honestly.
It may. We'll see. But So you said you worked at a sneaker store. When did you stop working there? Around the pandemic
So
time?
I stopped. Yeah, I was working at different sneaker spots. Like I worked at Finish Line from like '07 to like 2011, and then from there I worked at Villa from 2011 to 2020.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And what made you make the jump from that to rap?
So I was kind of like always, chasing music, and I was always working towards it. And so I was kind of put in a position where, with the pandemic and being furloughed and then being brought back to work, I was kind of put in a position where I had to make a decision on whether I wanted to stay at this job or if I wanted to, just pursue other options. And I chose to, say I wanted to do my art full time. And so I left in June of 2020. And when I left, a couple days later, that was when I heard from Conway. He reached out. He said that he had some interest, and that just stemmed from, in years past, me opening up for him and him just being, cognizant of, the fact that I had a large fan base in the city. I had, a lot of supporters, and, he was just watching kind of in the shadows for like years, you know what I mean? And, he finally got into position to start up his own venture. And, I was one of the people that he had in mind. So he reached out, and, we went a few months after he made it known that he had some interest. And, we didn't really talk in between then. And, he reached out again. We went down to New York. We had a couple sessions, and, I made some music there. Some of the music you heard, if you heard Abolished Uncertainties, you heard some of the records on there. So this was in 2020. And
wow.
The album just came out. So I've been sitting on some of those records for almost 3 years. But then from there, like when we had those sessions, he just kind of made it clear, like, yo, like I got real interest in signing you. Like start thinking of your album titles, start thinking of different records you want, people you want on your album, and things like that.
That's cool.
That's cool. I feel like a lot of people we've had on like kind of made a jump during COVID or right after.
COVID did a
It's
lot.
crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
Gave a lot of people a lot of opportunities, and if you're good enough, you succeeded during it,
Mm-hmm. Nah, that's a fact, man. Like, it was a crazy time. You know what I'm saying? Like, none of us really have been through anything like that, but I can honestly say, like, the pandemic, I did lose a few people in behind what happened, but I can also say that it was a period of time where I did kind of level up, and I just had to navigate my way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you can navigate, like you said, it could be kind of lucrative, or you could get some success in behind it. You know what I mean? Because it opened up a lot of doors for people.
Definitely, and it seems to be a common trend repeating. I mean, I'm not saying it was a good thing whatsoever, but I mean, It gave, like I said, a lot of opportunities that if you took advantage of it, good for you.
Yeah, 100%, man.
So, I just want to keep going back to sneakers.
My God, you love them.
Nah, man, we could chop it up about sneakers all day.
we just shoot the shit on here, honestly. We don't. And you've probably been. You've
You've
on
had every
podcast,
question
so-
asked, probably.
Yo, what did we just say last night, bro? Like, it's like every interview that I've done, I've probably done at least 12 interviews in the last like 2 weeks, and every single one is like the same thing. So, I'm open to whatever.
That's what we try to shoot to dismiss, because typically the guests we have on, it's not their first time being on a podcast.
Yeah.
So we don't like to do like the interview basis thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of more of like who you really are type thing, instead of like a formal checklist of questions,
Nah, that's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope.
So when we first started, you said like, since you've been doing all these podcasts, you drop albums. Like, did you get the feedback and everything that you've expected from it? Have you seen like good results from doing podcasts and exposing yourself more like that?
Not really. It's funny, man. A lot of the podcasts that I've done over the last like 3 years, or 2 years, I should say, since I got signed, because that's when I really started doing a lot of them. And in between that time, from like 2021 to now, I've probably done at least 50 or 60 of them.
Damn.
I've never really, like, there's a few people who reach out and say, yeah, I saw you on this one, and, you said this, and, I kind of thought this about it. But it's like few and far in between, man. Like, I think I got the most feedback from like the Bootleg Kev podcast, the one that I just did recently, and Tapped In, which is out in LA. I got a lot of feedback from those, but a lot of the ones that usually tap in, they have smaller fan bases, or maybe the people that do listen, they just don't hit me up or leave comments or anything, because I check everything. You know what I mean? Like, I look at comments, I look at when people DM me and things like that, and I just haven't really got too much feedback for real from like the podcasts that I've done.
Yeah.
How was the experience with the Bootleg Kev one? Because I've watched him for a couple years now, and seeing him grow has been pretty cool. What was that like? How did you go about getting on that? He asked you? I don't know how that stuff works typically.
So Bootleg Kev, and shout out to Bootleg Kev too, he works closely with Empire, and I know like his platform, they use it to help promote their artists, obviously. So Drumwork is distributed through Empire. So when it was time for my album to roll out, we knew that we were going to be going to Bootleg Kev just because the support is there. So it wasn't like a thing where I had to reach out, even though I had already been on there and I did the freestyle with Conway last year. So we were already kind of tapped in and he knew who I was. But there's guys over at Drumwork who kind of pull the strings and make things happen so that we can get scheduled in over there. And it was a dope experience, man. Like, Bootleg Kev, man, he's like one of the biggest platforms, and he shows a lot of love and asks some good questions, and we had a lot of fun being on there for sure.
That's cool.
Yeah, he seems cool. He drops like an episode like every other day.
It's crazy, man. His work ethic is real crazy. And then you see him everywhere else too. He's always at the Suns games, and always with his kids moving around. So it's real dope.
He came to Buffalo and walked through, didn't he?
Yeah, he was here. I want to say it was like a year and some change ago. He was here with. I want to say it was Conway. They were in the studio, kind of chopping it up. So
I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to see where he was at. I was trying to meet him. That's out of L.A.?
Yeah, it's out in L.A.
Okay, that's what I thought. Mm-hmm. Okay. No, that's cool. Is that like, would you say like the biggest podcast you've been on, or what else are we talking?
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest one that I've been on so far. Like, where it's something that I'm doing specifically. Yeah. I've been in a lot of rooms with Conway. You know what I mean? Like, just watching him do his thing. But for me specifically, I think Bootleg Kev is probably the biggest one that I've been on.
Which it isn't small by any means.
That, for sure.
That's like shit. If you're talking like hip hop genre, like I think of like Adam 22. I think of obviously like your morning shows type stuff like that with like Charlemagne and shit like that. But then Bootleg Kev has just kind of done his own thing when it comes to like social media. So
I was gonna say, cool. And then like Bootleg Kev is an actual podcast, whereas like if you think about like the Breakfast Club or all those different shows, those are actual like radio shows. Yeah, you know what I mean. So Bootleg Kev is it's a little different.
Yeah, it is different. There's like more of a script to follow when you're on that morning show and stuff like that, or radio shows. Yeah, definitely. No, that's
newer
cool.
one too, On the Radar. You were on that, right?
Yeah, I was on there too, actually. Yeah, but I think On the Radar again. I don't think that's a pod. I don't really know. I think they're more of like a YouTube show, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Yeah. It seems from what I've seen from them, it's like you do the podcast style thing, and then you did freestyle.
Yep, correct. I think actually you might be right. I think they do have a podcast. Like, you can go to like Apple Podcasts and it'll be on there. Like, that episode will be on there, and then they do the freestyles as well.
It seems like they have a dope setup though.
Yeah, it's real cool. So when I went and did On the Radar, they had just moved into their new location, and like it looked amazing for sure. So shout out to Gabe, man. Like, he put it together over there. It's dope.
Yeah, that's cool. Do you ever get sick of like doing these? Like, you can be honest, you're not gonna hurt feelings here. I think I would be.
I don't really get sick of doing them because it's cool. Like, you know what I mean? I love coming and talking to people because I couldn't, nobody could want me on their podcast. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think it's just a matter of, when you do so many in a row. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm not sick of it, but it is just like sometimes it's like, I just did like 3, 4, 5 different joints, and I just said the same thing on every single one. So again, that's why this is kind of refreshing, because when you're answering the same questions over and over, it could be like, man, come on, what's going on? You know what I mean? So
you don't have to tell us, or we can cut it. But which one was the worst?
Which one was the worst?
Besides ours, we already know ours is the worst podcast in the world.
I don't think I can even name the worst one that I've done, because a lot of them are so similar. Yeah. there was no bad ones. You know what I mean? Like it just was all joints. A lot of them, like 60 or 70% of them, where it was just the same thing. You know what I mean? How did you start? Where'd you grow up? Why is your name Jay Skeese? How long have you had your hair? You know what I mean? Like shit like that. You know what I mean? So none of them are bad per se. It's just a lot of them are just very similar in the questions. Yeah, very repetitive.
I could see where that becomes.
How do you think they could spice things up?
I think
you're giving us advice here. So
yeah. I think just asking different questions. Like I was in Philly yesterday, and I did one. It was called what was that joint called? Cooking Up 215, and their element, the different element that they added was they had a segment where we talked about the way that I grew up and how I got my start in music, and then they had a chef come, and the chef came and like cooked up some food. It was real good. They did a segment where they like filmed all the food, and then there was another segment where I tried the food and gave my feedback on it, and then we talked about like my plans for the future. So it was like broken up in a way where it made a lot of sense. You know what I mean? And the food aspect of it was really cool because we were able to break bread and just doing something different. So I think just even and that goes back to even like my creative process or like the way I make music. You know what I mean? Like if you can just add little elements that are different from everybody else, like you can have a dope product.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's cool.
Okay, this might sound weird, but I always find it interesting. I just don't know how to word it. How deep are you into like the music thing? Like, and I mean that as in like building a song or building an album. Like we've had guests on that they design their own album cover art. They master and mix their own songs, their beats. Have you ever played around with mixing and mastering?
That's how I started out. Like,
okay.
I used to record everything. I would record everything in my closet. Like, you know what I'm saying? But, I mean, I was real deep into it up until like a few years ago where I was like, I don't want to have to record myself. I would rather just go to the studio and get an engineer to do it for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That knows really what they're doing because I just knew what sounded good to my ear. I didn't know everything, that went into mixing and mastering for real. I knew a little bit. But now I'm very deep into it, man. Like my album, when you listen to it, I didn't get a lot of the beats from like the A&R on the album and, the people who were involved with the album. Like a lot of those I found myself. I wrote all the songs. I wrote pretty much all of the hooks and, everything about the album. You know what I'm saying? Like the sequencing, shout out to Lucky 7. He did the sequencing. But I had a sequence in my mind too that we didn't go with. But yeah, everything. I mean, even like the creative process with like the cover. I came together with Jay Blessing Art, shout out to him, and told him what I kind of envisioned, and he brought it to life. So pretty much everything, man. Like I'm pretty hands on with everything, especially when we're in the studio. I know how I want things to sound, and if it doesn't sound the way that I need it to, it's always gonna be like a thing where we got to get back in there and make it sound how it's supposed to. You know what I mean? Because I really take a lot of pride in that. So yeah, I'm very hands on.
That's cool. No, I like that when it comes down to an artist being more involved than just simply getting in front of a mic and having everybody else do something for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, and it's nothing wrong with that either. Because I mean, I think certain artists, they need that. But I don't think I'm one of the artists who necessarily need that. I mean, there might be things that I could tweak here and there. Somebody might be able to say, yo, I feel like maybe you should do this, but I usually always have direction already. I know how I want things to look and things to sound, and I'm pretty calculated in that. So
it's cool. It's cool. How long on average, if you can even answer it, but how long on average do you think would you say it takes to make a song? Like, is it like a tough process for you, or?
No, I mean, because it should never be tough. You know what I mean? Because it's what you do. You know what I mean? Like today, I made a song today in an hour and a half, and that's 2 verses and a hook. You know what I'm saying? And the whole layout of the song, pretty much. And then I've taken 2 weeks to write a song. So it really just depends on, I guess, how detailed I'm trying to get, and just being happy with whatever it is that I put down. But I don't think it takes a long time. It's just more so about getting the song to sound how I want it to sound. You know what I mean?
I feel like you have to be in a certain like mindset.
Nah. I used to feel like that, like when I used to drink and everything, and I used to smoke sometimes. Oh, now I gotta be high, I gotta be drunk to write a song and get creative. Nah, that's bullshit. Like anybody that tells you that, that's bullshit. Because you should be ready. If you want to be a professional, you should be ready. You know what I'm saying? Anytime. You know what I mean? I've had times where, I might have to go to the studio at the drop of a dime, and I might need to do a verse on this song, or somebody says, "Yo, I got this amount of money for you to jump on this song, but I need it back by tomorrow, or I need it back by tonight." So you got to be on point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, when you put it that way, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense. That's fascinating to me, though. I feel like I couldn't. You just said an hour and a half, 2 verses and a hook. Yeah, I don't think I could probably get a hook done within like 24 hours.
You could though, and then the thing to think about is too, I've been doing music for forever, bro.
Right.
So it's not even like a thing where I even really got to think about it too much. You know what I mean? Like I know what I want to say. Like once I catch the vibe, so it's really just putting the words together.
Who's one artist you really want to get a feature from?
Pharrell.
Yeah,
Pharrell.
Okay.
I feel like if I ever came together with Pharrell, man, we would make a hit.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
You hear like, I've never heard Pharrell.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good answer though. I like that.
His sound is just one of one. You know what I mean? It's unique, and it's never like his sound is never gotten old. You know what I mean? Like we were just playing. What song was that? That Girl. We were just playing that the other day in the car, and he dropped that in 2006, and it sounds like something that could have came out yesterday.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And a lot of primarily his music is like that.
Damn. No, that's a good answer.
I feel like a lot of Kanye music is like that too.
Yeah, I think so too.
Like
The only reason why you can kind of tell older Kanye is because he used to sample more, or like the samples that he used to use, as opposed to like as he got into like the Yeezus era and stuff like that. But like he still samples obviously, so you can tell. But I think it's just a little more evident in some of his older stuff. But it's definitely his music is timeless. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Is there something you haven't checked off your list as in music wise yet? Like something you want to play around with, maybe like drop a different sound to a song, like something really different?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, people ask me all the time, like some of the people I would love to work with, and like the first joint that comes to first group that comes to mind is the Gorillas. Like, you know what I'm saying? I would love to like do something like kind of off the wall like that. You know what I mean? Something different where it's like just a totally different lane, and I can kind of express myself differently. If will it ever happen? I don't really know. If the opportunity presented itself, though, I would definitely be down for sure. And then there's like other things I want to get into too. Like I want to get into acting. You know what I'm saying? That's something that I've never really tried my hand at, but I feel like I could be really good at. So there's things like that, and just just overall, all around, just being creative. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm really interested in, and there's a lot of avenues and lanes for that. So I want to try my hand in everything I can do.
Right.
On that note, though, I feel like Abolished Uncertainties, you really hit like a lot of different, like, I don't know. It was like every song was like, it felt like it was off a different album almost. Like it was cool.
What I wanted to do with Abolished Uncertainties, man, when I was like, thinking about the way I wanted it to sound, I wanted it to be, like you said, every song I'm telling a different story, or I'm just hitting different aspects of my life, you know what I mean? Because that's what I really was focused on. And then I wanted to also just show everything that I could do. Like, you got the songs like Bonneville, you got Revolver, you got Out Here with Freeway. Like all those different records, I'm rapping super aggressive in a way that I never had really done before, but I knew that I could always do it, but I just never had really showed that side of my skill set. So it was, again, just getting in the studio and just wanting to be super creative and not wanting to sound the same every record. You know what I mean? And you got like Mine Right, where I'm kind of like singing, and then you got Red Kool-Aid, where I'm using a flow that I've never used ever in life. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to make sure that each record, I was just showing like whatever it was, like however I was feeling, like if I wanted to sing or if I wanted to get real aggressive and I wanted to talk about the way I grew up. I just wanted it to have like a real sound, a certain sound. You know what I mean?
It was like there was a little something for everybody in that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think the only thing I didn't do on Abolished Uncertainties was really make a record like specifically like, you know, and I don't like calling it this, but for women that women would like to play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where I'm talking about a woman or something like that. But, you know, it'll be plenty of time for that.
Yeah. Drake, what was that Drake album that was like all singing? And he had that one good song with
Certified.
21.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking
Honestly,
about.
never mind.
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't like that at all.
Yeah, he had it was Jimmy Crooks, I think it's called.
Jimmy Cooks.
Jimmy
yeah.
Cooks,
yeah.
yeah. So when you do something like that, or even in general, it doesn't need to be different. Do you ever get nervous, or, and I'm not saying you are, but just like insecure about something before you drop it? Because I personally know when it comes to delivering a product, most of the time I don't think it's nearly as good enough as actually what it is. And I'll sit there and stress about it until I hear some feedback or something like that. Are you like that? Or are you just really overall confident, like, this shit's going to slap, I already know it?
I think any artist, man, like there's a degree of that, you know what I mean, that you're gonna deal with because you don't know, you know what I mean. But I think with knowing that you have created whatever it is that you sought out to create, you know what I mean, as long as you achieve that mission, because art is just expression, right? So we're expressing ourselves in the mediums that we choose. So whether that be painting or, you know, you sitting in front of a mic and making a song, or you might be dancing. So as long as you know, express the way that you felt in that moment accurately, I think, you know, you can be confident that it'll be felt in the way that you meant it to be felt. You know what I mean? Even if you might make a mistake. Like, there's mad times where I might be in the studio and I might be recording a song and I might not like a certain take, but I might still go with it. Or I'll ask Potts, or I'll ask, you know, DJ T if he's there in the studio with me. Yo, what you think about this? And I might have slipped up and said a word not in a way that I meant to say it, but they might be like, nah, that sound fire. You know what I mean? So even mistakes, like, it's okay because it's still being received in the way that it's supposed to be received. So yeah, it's like, you know, you shouldn't let it alter your confidence or anything like that, because, you know, you did what you sought out to do, and that's all that matters. Because when you get into the business of like trying to make a product for a consumer, like in an art sense, you know what I'm saying? Like, not in a sense of like, you know, food or something like that, but
No, I know
when you're
mean.
creating art and, you know, you're creating it for your audience, you can't, like, it won't work out. Like, you're not supposed to do it that way. You have to create it for you, and then you give it to the world, and then it's consumed in the way that the world consumes it.
Yeah. No, that's a solid point, actually.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's solid.
Switching lanes here for a second. What do you do in your free time, if you have any?
Kick it with that little girl. I don't have no free time, no. You know what I'm saying? She takes up all my time. And when I'm not doing music, I'm always doing music. So no matter what, like, especially these days, like, I literally don't have free time. Like, that's out.
I don't know. Is that, do you enjoy that though?
What's that?
There's some people who are built, I like to say, built for that type thing.
I think
I know it gets tiring.
Yeah,
you know?
I think right now, I'm just at a point in my life where I know that I'm sacrificing a lot, and I'm comfortable with that because I know where I'm gonna be. You know what I mean? Like, everything I'm doing right now is just, you know, I'm paying my dues to be where I want to be. You know what I mean? Like, this is a lifestyle that is very demanding, not just from me though. It's demanding from, you know, my family too. You know what I mean? My daughter's mother, my mom, all the people that are around me that, you know, make what I do possible. Because without them, I wouldn't be able to do any of this. So, you know, it's not just a sacrifice on my part. It's a lot of sacrificing on theirs too, and a lot of compromising. So, but I do it in faith and knowing that God is going to put me in a position where I'll be able to live my life in the manner that I like to live it. You know what I mean? Based on what I'm able to do with my art.
Gotcha.
get in what you get out what you put in.
There you go.
Yeah, 100%. I believe in that full-heartedly. Do you put a lot of like pressure on yourself, like even just in the studio, thinking about your baby, your mom, whoever?
No, I don't think it's a lot of pressure. I think it's it is actually pressure, but I don't look at it that way. I look at it more so like just motivation. You know what I mean? Like my daughter, she gives me the ultimate motivation. Like, if I got to get up and I got to get a verse done, or if I got to get up and, knock out a couple songs or, whatever, like that's what I got in mind. You know what I'm saying? Like her and my mom and, where I came from, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the ultimate motivation. Like, yo, I don't want to have to go back and be clocking in at fucking Villa trying to sell sneakers, you know what I'm saying, and work there 9 to 8 and be mad as hell I got to get up and do the same thing the next day. Like, fuck that. That's not what God put me here for. You feel what I'm saying? So that's the ultimate motivation. And like I said, like my daughter, like, she didn't ask to be here. I always say it. So, I want to make her life as, dope as possible. You feel what I'm saying? Like, not saying like she's got to get everything she asked for and shit like that, but shit, she shouldn't have to struggle the way I did. You know what I'm saying? Like, or grow up the way that I did. You know what I'm saying? When I was a kid. So, that's the shit that I always keep in mind. And then, my mom put me here. She gave me life. So, I want to be able to pay her back, you know what I'm saying, for that and taking care of me all my life, you know what I mean? And I got a lot of people, like a lot of homies who, you know what I'm saying, like I feel like off of, what I bring to the table creatively and all my friends as well, like that do music as well, first class, like we can, build a business and really be living the way that we want to live, based off of, what we do creatively, you know what I'm saying? Like I want to make a way for all my homies too. So, that's what I think about when I'm in the studio, because that's where it starts.
Dope. I like that. So on the business front then, do you have like any ideas or plans later down the line?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, again, it's a lot of avenues that I want to get into, man. Like, acting, and another thing I want to get into is producing. You know what I'm saying? Like, not so much making beats and things like that, but just, producing records, like albums.
Right.
You know what I mean? And just being involved in the creative process and like, fine tuning things, like, yo, this should sound like this, or this should go here, or yo, you should get this person on this album because this would sound good. You know what I mean? And then, getting into owning a record label, like I would love to do that as well. You know what I mean? Just produce a sound and, put those albums out, man, and just help those artists that I think are really dope, because I know a million artists who are fire and they just really just need that extra push. You know what I'm saying? And I can see myself being in that type of position because I love helping people, period. You know what I mean? So
that seems to be like a Buffalo thing. And I mean, I don't mean Buffalo thing, but like anyone we've really had on this podcast, it's really intriguing and once again, just like cool to see how younger guys get helped out by these older guys like Conway and stuff like that. Like him basically giving you the platform, like, hey, like I'm looking into you heavily, like I'm interested, like, and just stuff like that. And it just shows a lot about their character, and like you just basically affirm that you're willing to do the same, which is cool, because I feel like not a lot of people are like that. And I don't know. I think that's a cool thing.
I mean, you got to pay it forward.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, the blessings that I've got have, came from God and, came from Conway. And it's like, I would be wrong to not, pay it forward and, help put somebody else in position. You know what I mean? And just keep it going, because that's what we need ultimately in Buffalo. I remember for a long time, it was always like Hunger Games out here in Buffalo when it came to hip hop. Like nobody wanted to support anybody. I come from that era of if you were a rapper in Buffalo, you sucked. It wasn't, nobody was even trying to even give you an ear. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I come from with it. So to see, the progression from that to now is really dope. And the way that we continue to evolve and push things forward is, the artists that are in position and, that make a name for themselves, they got to, make way for the next ones. And that's hip hop anyway. You know what I'm saying? Being hip is just knowing what's new and what's popping. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta do that.
So being in the position you're in now, how do you deal with like snakes or people that are just out for themselves, or don't just want to be put on and don't bring anything to the table type of thing?
I think it's a lot of people who reach out to me and they want to do different things and they want help. But I try to just make sure that the people that I keep around me are just solid. And 9 times out of 10, more than that, probably 9.9 times out of 10, the people that I do have around me are people that have been around me since I was 15, 16, 19. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really be around too many new people. And I'm not even really in a position right now to even consider helping anybody. You know what I mean? I got to put myself in position first. So a lot of that, when I am asked, like, yo, what, can we do this? Can we do that? Unfortunately, I'm just not at that point in my career. So, I gotta dub it. But, when things, tee up, and that's going to be real soon, I'll be willing to definitely hear, some acts and, help people in the ways that I can, for sure. But right now, I just try to make sure that, I keep genuine vibes around me and genuine people around me, and just, make sure that I focus on what I got, right here in front of me. Like, all that other stuff in my peripheral, we'll get to that later.
I saw a clip somewhere. I don't know where it was, but you were talking about video games. You play a lot of video games?
I used to. Like, these days, like I said, I hardly have any time to really even get any gaming in for real. But I used to play hella video games, bro.
Were you into, like, COD?
What is it?
COD? Call of Duty?
I think the last one I had was, what was it? Modern Warfare 2, I want to say.
Yeah.
And I was, like, playing online and stuff like that. I love the story mode, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like going through the story and just, like, seeing that shit and, like, beating the game. That was always my thing.
Yeah.
I haven't played video games since college.
Yeah.
Once in a while. If I get really bored.
This guy's a gamer over here.
Yeah.
I used to be too, but it's tough, dude. It's tough to have time, I mean, to even, like, because, like, let's be real. If you're sitting down for an hour, it's not even worth it. You got to get a couple hours.
People are so
on there.
good now, too.
Yeah. Nah, for real.
People are
like,
OD, bro.
Yeah, you see them aiming real quick, and I've watched on YouTube people play that don't have hands, like, and they're taking people out. Like, it's insane, bro. Like, I'm nowhere near that. Like, I'll do the rap thing. I don't want no smoke on COD with the dude with no hands that's taking everybody out. I'm good.
People playing with their feet and mouth.
Yo, for
dude,
real, like, yo, you see it and it be like, yo, bro, what's going on? Like, how did you even get this good, bro?
There's kids getting scholarships now.
Yeah,
for it.
Yeah, on Twitch, making hundreds of thousands of dollars, and salute to them, man. It's dope to see.
It's crazy. I just feel like our parents, probably your parents too, growing up playing video games, they're like, go outside, do something.
I mean, the way I think about it is like, with my mom, up until about 2020, man, like, before things really teed up for me, she was telling me, like, yo, you need to go and get a trade. And I'm telling her, like, yo, I really want to do this music thing. You know what I'm saying? So when she actually started seeing, the progression, she was like, I can't believe it. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy to see, but, I think in anything that you do like this, whether it be, something creative, you could be a painter, you could be a music artist, you could be, you could have aspirations to go to the NBA or the NFL. Like, you got to be a little delusional. You know what I'm saying? You got to really believe in yourself, like, on the highest power, like, because, people just don't see it for you. You know what I mean? And the era that we come from, like, our parents, they were taught to go to college, go get a good job, and, you know what I'm saying, stack up. If you're going to have kids, take care of them, and then teach them the way. You know what I mean? So and then being from Buffalo on top of that is like, yo, nobody here has even done this before, for real, except for Griselda, and they just did it 5 years ago. So, you're really doing something that's like breaking the mold and going against everything that most people know here. So,
yeah. Parents are brutal with that shit. Like, just go to school, get a job, buy a house.
Yeah.
Like, the average wage in America compared to, like, the average house prices now.
Yeah.
Compared to when, like, they grew up, completely different.
Yeah, completely different. It's crazy. Even
nuts.
like rent prices and things like that, man. It's hard out here. I just paid my rent today, or yesterday, It's tough, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But again, like, you know, God just kind of put me in a position, man, where, I haven't had to, like, I've been able to do what I love to do for the last 3 years and be able to survive off of it. So it's pretty dope. It's pretty
sure.
dope.
That's cool. It's the dream right there, huh?
Yeah, for real.
And where do you see yourself in 3, 4, 5 years? Ideally.
Yeah, I see myself, signing a major record label deal. Whether it be with Sony or I don't know, Def Jam, whoever. I see myself in 3, 4 years. I'll be working on putting out like my 3rd studio album, and just continuing to tour and doing the things that I love to do. Hopefully, getting in position to start my own venture, my own record label, and just continuing to put out quality product, man, and chasing all the avenues that I can to make some other streams of income.
So this tour you have coming up, right? We were talking about it earlier. Yeah. How, where does that touch, like, basically, like, where are different locations?
I know. So we start off in Chicago, and then we go Milwaukee, Minneapolis, Denver, L.A., San Fran, New Orleans. We go to Austin, Austin, Texas, Dallas, Atlanta, Charlotte, Boston, Cleveland, Brooklyn, and we go to Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay.
I want to say that's it. But once we announce the tour, other dates will get added to. That's usually what happens. So just be on the lookout, man. We might be, some other places as well. I wish we were hitting Buffalo.
Yeah. No, you'll make it back. Don't worry.
Yeah, for sure. Sure.
So it's something like that. Forgive me if I'm uneducated. But is that going to be like will that be like your biggest like experience with touring so far, or has there been other?
No, I've been on I'll put it to you like this. I've been on other tours where Conway was bringing me out, where, my name wasn't on the flyer, my name wasn't on the tickets. If I'm coming out the back, it's just like, oh, shit, Skeese is here. This is the first tour that I've done where my name is on the tickets, my name is on the flyers. There are people that are going to be there to see Jay Skeese. So this is technically the biggest tour that I've been on.
That's cool.
Yeah.
No, that's really nice, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's got to be a different experience now. Like, oh shit, like, dude, people are buying tickets to see me.
Yeah, man, it's cool, man. You know what I mean? To just watch the growth for myself. You know what I mean? Because again, I remember being on the road with Con and working my own merch table and running around and trying to just get up in the morning and catch my next flight, get in and catch an Uber or walk to the show. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've done all those things. I literally started at the very bottom with this shit. So, getting to this point is really dope. And, I know that there's even more, you know what I mean? Because I know I'm going to be going on my own tours and, doing my own shows and things like that. So, we going to keep teeing up, man, for sure.
Cool. That's big. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
So all the traveling and stuff, do you ever, like, I don't want to say get sick of it, but, like, do you miss home?
Yeah, I get homesick for sure. I got homesick a couple times when we were over in Europe.
Yeah.
I got homesick over there. I got homesick when we were in Canada too, because we did like 9 cities in Canada. We were up there for like almost 3 weeks. So, being away from home and being away from my daughter for that long, it's like, it does start to weigh down on you. You know what I mean? But again, I'm in that period right now where, it's sacrifices.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Good experience.
It'll be worth it in the long run.
Yeah,
sure.
I know it will for sure.
But yeah, I know. I probably do like 1% of the traveling that you do.
Yeah, man. I look at it like this, bro. Home. Like, a lot of the places that I've been, I would have never had music not taking me there because, I had only been a few places. Well, not a few places. I've been some places, you know what I mean, prior to, everything with music. But I would have never been to, I probably would have never gone to Paris or, you know what I mean, Oslo, or, you know, where else did we go? Like Victoria, British Columbia, you know what I mean, Calgary, and, you know, different places like that. I would have never,
Right. No.
would have never
Why,
been there.
why? You know why?
Yeah, why would I go there? You know what I'm saying? So, you know,
I'm
it's,
I've been there.
it's a trade off
For
you
no
know
reason.
what I'm saying? Yeah,
So,
it's like
but-
it's a trade off, man, and it's dope to, you know, go to those places and have people know my name and know the lyrics to my songs and appreciate the art and, you know, want to buy the merch and, yo, sign this, sign my sneakers. Like, it's crazy. It's honestly crazy.
Are you into like traveling, like seeing different? Are you even? Because like you just said, you'll go somewhere and you'll want to come home like instantly.
I like traveling, but it's just like at a certain point, I always want to just be home.
Because I feel
Yeah.
like for the person that is, because there's a lot of people out there who just love going different new places. I feel like tour is like the absolute like hit for that person.
Yeah.
Because they get to experience all that, and it's in a compressed amount of time until you're on to the next.
Yeah, it's cool, but the only thing is, like, because I guess I had this idea of what touring was like for myself, and it's not that at all. Like, when you're on tour, it's like you go to one city, you're there for like the day, and you might get in at 12 or 1 o'clock, and then from there, you know, you're going to the show, to the venue at 4 or 5 o'clock, or at least I was, because I was going there to get set up with my merch and everything, and then, you know, doing sound check, and then maybe eating real quick and doing the show. You know what I'm saying? You don't get out till about 10:30, 11 o'clock, and then it's just on to the next one. It's not like you got mad time to go and, you know, look around and sightsee and, oh, I like being over here, like this, let's try this food or this restaurant. Like, that doesn't really happen. You know what I mean? Like, you're on the road to, you know, go put on a show, make your money, and go to the next city.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's cool. And if you do have some time to kind of hang out and look around and chill, of course, like, by any means, you know, or by all means, do that. But it's a different experience, man. It is. It's pretty dope.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, but, you know, it's different than
Yeah.
just, like, traveling. You know what I mean?
Right. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
It's a
gotta be
fucking
pretty.
grind, I bet.
Oh yeah.
You said what?
It's a fucking grind, I bet.
Oh, yeah. Nah, for sure. Like I said, like, especially with the way I was doing it, you know what I mean? You know, my first experience, like the Love Will Get You Killed tour, I was traveling a lot by myself. So, you know, I would get up, you know, do the show, and then go back to the hotel. I would get up, Uber to the airport, flying by myself, and then I probably wouldn't see everybody again until, you know, 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So I was by myself a lot, especially when we were on the West Coast. You know what I mean?
So when you're by yourself, when you were by yourself like that, is that like tough to stay motivated and stuff like? Because I know when you're with a group, at least I like me personally.
Yeah.
If I'm with somebody or with a couple people, like it's much easier to stay focused and in tune with what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Why I'm here,
Yeah.
type thing. But like when I'm by myself, it's kind of like, well, this sucks. You know?
Yeah. Nah, I think I was able to just, you know, just stay self-motivated. I'm like self-motivated anyway, you know what I mean? Because I really want this shit. You know what I mean? It's not like nothing where I'm not willing to sacrifice almost everything for it. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm right there. You know what I mean? So, nah, it wasn't real hard to stay focused. It was just, like I said, after a little bit of time, you just get a little homesick. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
but the tour ends, so it's like, you know, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Cool. This one coming up will be exciting.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. I'm looking real forward to it, man.
And
It's gonna be dope.
A lot of big name cities on that.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
For sure. I know, like, LA is always crazy. New York is always crazy. Atlanta is always crazy whenever we go there. So I'm looking forward to a few of those dates. And then a few of them, you know, like Minneapolis. Last time we went there, that was surprisingly one of the dopest shows. And I would have never guessed that, you know, Minneapolis would be so crazy. But the fans out there were wild. You know what I'm saying? And then Milwaukee, I haven't been there yet. So, you know, it's a few new cities on there where I haven't, you know, got a chance to even rock out. So, you know, I'm looking forward to it, man.
That's cool.
I feel like they probably don't get a lot of rappers and artists there.
Where's
Yeah.
Minneapolis and
Yeah.
Milwaukee.
I
you
mean,
know,
there's a
so
lot of
they're
people
probably
there.
fucking hyped. That's what I'm saying. They're probably fucking hyped.
Yeah,
have
for sure.
People there too.
For sure.
It's not typically a city you see on like Mostless. So,
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
No, that'll be cool. That'll be an experience.
For sure.
Sweet. When does that end?
You said when is it?
End?
I think the last date is like June 28th or something like that.
Gotcha. We're gonna have to set a pod back up after
for
it.
sure.
And I want to get some stories from it.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
want to hear some stories. That'll
Yeah,
be
man,
cool.
let's do it.
What time are we working with? Hey.
June 28th.
Yeah, 28th. Yep.
28th, Detroit.
Yeah, we got to set one up then.
Yeah, hell yeah.
When it gets closer, I'm gonna remind you. That's on you.
Okay. All right.
I definitely want to hear some stories.
Yeah.
100%.
Sure.
Cool.
All right, man. Well, thank you for coming on.
No doubt.
We appreciate you. I know you've had a million of the same questions. So
Nah, it's all good. This one was
So-
dope, man. Like I said, it was more of like a conversation. So definitely
Yeah.
looking forward to coming back and chopping it up with y'all, man.
we
Cool.
appreciate it, man.
No doubt.
And we'll put your Instagram down in the description. Go check them out if you haven't already. Who are you? But any last words?
Man, you already know. Abolished Uncertainties is out now. Make sure you keep streaming the album. Pain Provided Profit is out now with Conway the Machine. Keep streaming that. Conway the Machine, Won't He Do It? It's coming soon. So make sure y'all look out for that. And everything for Weez. You know that.
We got young ears, so just like, comment, and subscribe.